Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the online VGC 17 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. I'm just gonna be going back into things still, using of course the brand new team that we featured in the last two episodes. Been a fun team to use so far, and we'll see how far we can take it throughout this week and a half or so. I'm planning on doing a kind of mini series on the Tiny Tournament, which is a really fun kind of VGC style tournament with a very specific rule set. It's just like a fun global link tournament, so yeah, I'm planning on doing that on YouTube, and it should be a fun time. I think that starts next week. Our first opponent of the day is going to be Mark from New Jersey, running, I believe this is Sejong Park's old team with Kartana, Tapu Fini, Porygon Z, Gastrodon, Muk, and Arcanine. The only bad part is I don't remember the exact items on this team. I think there was Specs on Tapu Fini, Scarf on Porygon Z. That's pretty much the extent of what I remember. So this is really scary. I think especially the Gastrodon. Because otherwise, yeah, Gastrodon and Tapu Fini. So what do I want to lead with? The issue is Porygon Z really can just nuke things immediately, and I'm not too fond about that. So I could go like Arcanine, now Ego, because I do have the Focus Sash. And Arcanine pressures Kartana as well. And in the back, I feel like I definitely need Kartana in this matchup. I love my Milotic here, but with Scarf presumably on Porygon Z and Kartana on my opponent's team as well, I don't feel like that's the best idea. So, you know what, Tapu Koko probably makes the most sense here. Still does a ton of damage with Thunderbolt. Like, I outspeed Tapu Fini, Arcanine, Muk, and can hit and Power Fire the Kartana as well. But, yeah, this team is really scary. I believe Sejong got to #1 on Battle Spot with it all the way in the beginning of the season. So it's been a while now since this team was originally used. And I'm not sure if that's his exact team, but it's also a QR code team. I think someone else, if I remember correctly, made the QR code team for it and then put it up online. So I don't exactly remember the full details of the team though, so this is going to be tough, but we're going to get into this first game. As always, if you guys enjoy Road to Rank, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. And let's see what we can do here. I would have loved to bring Milotic, but the combination of Gastrodon and a Scarf user on my opponent's team, like, Milotic really performs well if your opponent's team doesn't have any Scarves, but I'm assuming the Porygon here on my opponent's team is Scarf. So we actually see Kartana and Porygon Z, which I would say is actually okay for me with Arcanine and now Ego. The only question I have is, does a Hyper Beam from Porygon knock out the Arcanine? Because I'm honestly not too sure about that. If you're my opponent, you probably... I guess I could, like, Protect and Trick Room. As weird as that may seem. But then, like, I can't really do much out of that. So I think I'd rather just Flare Blitz. And... Sludge Bomb. Porygon, yeah. I don't know, I'm pretty sure I can take a Hyper Beam, but maybe I'm wrong. Actually, I don't know, like, this Arcanine is super specially defensive. It is almost max HP and special defense. But my opponent could also double up into now Ego. That would be a really hard read. We do just see the Hyper Beam come out, yep. So let's see if this knocks me out. No, I survived. Okay, nice. Yeah, so the special bulk there in Arcanine really being helpful. I think I should have doubled up into the Kartana here probably, though. Just because I'm pretty sure it's Focus Sash and I don't have Extreme Speed, which is bad. But at least the Porygon Z can attack next turn. So, let's see how much Sludge Bomb does here. A lot. If I had Extreme Speed right now, I'd feel really good, but I have Toxic instead. Because I felt like my Porygon matchup wasn't the greatest. And it is Sash Kartana, yeah. So, pretty sure this is Sejong's team. That might have been a slight misplay, though, since I should have been anticipating the Hyper Beam coming out. But it's not the end of the world for me here. I'm still okay with this. I think I'm just going to Flare Blitz the Porygon here, because Kartana could Protect. And... part of me wants to conserve now Ego, since it seems really good against the Tapu Fini and the Arcanine. Like, if you're my opponent, you surely must target the now Ego slot, right? But I also kind of want the free switching into my Tapu Koko. I could also switch into my Kartana, but I might get Sacred Sworded. Yeah, I think I just sack now Ego here. So I just Flare Blitz the Porygon and Power Gem. Okay, yep. There's Smart Strike. That's kind of frustrating because I definitely could have switched into Kartana then there in that slot. But like I said, like, I didn't want my opponent to make the read and Sacred Sword. Maybe switching into Tapu Koko actually would have been fine. But that's okay. Now Ego did its job here, putting on the Trick Room. I mean, not that I was Trick Rooming anyway. But I will knock out Porygon there just because the Pokemon in the back definitely can't take that Hyper Beam. And of course that Kartana is back up to neutral now. So I think here I'll switch in my Tapu Koko, yeah. And yeah, so I don't have Extreme Speed, but I wonder if my opponent anticipates that, because my opponent would, like, if I did, you would assume I would have just Extreme Speed last turn, as Gastrodon comes in, which I'm okay with here. I think part of this is really going to come down to what my opponent's last Pokemon is, but I think Tapu Koko plus Kartana matches quite nicely regardless of what the last one is. So here, I think I'm actually going to Toxic the... Yeah, does that make much sense? I get Helping Hand, Dazzling Gleam. But yeah, I think I'm actually going to Toxic Gastrodon and Protect here, hoping to get a free switch in into my Kartana. My opponent's Kartana could Protect too, though. We'll see. Yeah, it does. Okay, that's kind of frustrating. Toxic doesn't miss, though, so this Gastrodon's obviously on a timer. I'm pretty sure Seijon's Gastrodon was offensive with Sludge Bomb. Yeah. Okay. So once again, the real question is, like, what is the last Pokemon? So I can Helping Hand, Dazzling Gleam this turn. And that covers anything I can switch in. I guess other than Arcanine, but if Arcanine comes in for free... I don't know if Sludge Bomb knocks out Tapu Koko. That's the other thing I'm unfamiliar with. But I feel like I can't really switch out here either. So yeah, I think I will just Helping Hand and Dazzling Gleam. We'll see if the Kartana stays in from my opponent's end. Because with Helping Hand, I can also Z-move with the Kartana that I have in the back. And I don't remember the item on Gastrodon. That's the other annoying thing. The Gastrodon may have actually been... No, Feeny was definitely Choice Specs, I believe. So Kartana actually does switch out. Is it Arcanine? No, it's Tapu Fini. Okay. So my Kartana can definitely clean this game up. It may come down to a speed tie. We'll see. Helping Hand Gleam here should do a lot. If the Tapu Koko can hang on, then I just win the game, I'm pretty sure. But I'm not sure if it can hang on from the Sludge Bomb from Gastrodon. That does a lot of damage there, though. It's really nice. Okay, it is Berry Gastrodon. Citrus. I didn't remember the item on Gastrodon. And we actually see a Scald come out. Huh. I don't really quite understand the reasoning there, because the Tapu Koko is the biggest threat to your team by far at this point. Maybe my opponent was hoping I didn't have the Kartana in the back, but yeah, now I just win the game, I'm pretty sure. Because I know the Porygon Z was Scarfed, so Tapu Fini obviously can't be Scarfed, so I can just Thunderbolt that slot freely and Leaf Blade Gastrodon. I could take it a step further and Z-move, but I don't see a reason to, since Tapu Koko is faster anyway. Actually, maybe I should just Z-move. Like, there's no downside, really, right? Because I don't need to save it for the Kartana on the back of my opponent's side, since my Tapu Koko is faster than it anyway. So yeah, I'll just Thunderbolt Tapu Fini and Z-move Gastrodon here. Actually, maybe just Leaf Blading was better, because Leaf Blade does more anyway. I'm pretty sure the Z-move from Kartana knocks out. But maybe not, actually. Like, maybe, like, yeah, Leaf Blading might have actually been a better play there, just because I actually don't know whether the Z-move from Kartana, fighting Z-move, actually knocks out Gastrodon. Like, I'm fairly confident it does. But Fini switches out. Okay, that's fine with me. Yeah, so I didn't really understand the switch out last turn, just because I feel like if you're my opponent, you really want to pressure with the knockout with one of the two, so you should be willing to sacrifice one of the two Pokemon. And like, if Fini takes any damage, then it is in Life Orb Thunderbolt KO range, whereas it might be able to survive otherwise. But no protects or anything, so I will just get the all-out pummeling coming out here from Kartana. Yeah, even because my opponent's switching to my Kartana, even if this Gastrodon somehow survives this, which I'm like fairly sure it shouldn't, then the Poison will knock it out, and then I can just Leaf Blade the Tapu Fini, so the game is pretty much won at this point. But maybe I should have just Leaf Bladed to be safer, just because, you know, like, this attack isn't Stab, and Kartana's Jolly. But it does knock out Gastrodon. Yeah. Like, I was fairly sure, because Gastrodon only had like 50% or so. But the thing is, it's like, I don't really need to be doing damage through Protect there. And it's actually probably smarter to just Leaf Blade there, because it covers, you know, if Gastrodon protects, that's fine. You know, the Tapu Fini is going to get knocked out or switch out. So that was like unnecessary and even risky. But But, I mean, I had a really good position, like, basically in this endgame, especially because my opponent had Tapu Fini in the back and not something like the Muck. So, like, Muck would have been more annoying. Even Arcanine could have been more annoying as well. Like, the Tapu Fini was actually the best case scenario since I brought both Tapu Koko and the Kartana in this match. So, we do end up with a win here. But, definitely a scary one there, I think, overall. Looking back at it, like, yeah, like, turn 1, I think maybe I could have doubled up into the Kartana. Although the fear there is if Kartana protects and we just get a Hyper Beam off from the Arcanine. So fortunately with the special defense of my Arcanine really paying dividends there, allowing me to survive the Hyper Beam. And if Arcanine goes down there, I probably honestly just lose the game because I don't have anything really... Actually, I wouldn't say I lose the game, but I don't know. Just like having that Arcanine against the Kartana specifically was so good. And yeah, Helping Hand, Dazzling Gleam, like, actually did a sizable amount there to Gastrodon. And fortunately, like, I think even if my opponent Sludge Bomb Tapu Koko, because it's more bulky Gastrodon, I probably survive it anyway. Like, I'm fairly sure I do. It's one of the downsides of Gastrodon losing Earth Power as a tutor move there in this generation. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, still a really scary game there. Had Gastrodon knocked out Tapu Koko there, I would have had a switch into my Kartana. And then I could protect the Arcanine and Leaf Blade. But then I could actually lose the game to a speed tie. That's because I don't have extreme speed on Arcanine. I put Toxicon specifically because I was kind of worried about my matchup against Porygon 2, but I guess I do have Fighting Z move on Kartana and Curse Gigalith, and both of those, like, and the Z move on Gigalith as well, so I have like 2 ways to really potentially nuke it. The thing with Fighting Z on Kartana though is it's like, Porygons can actually survive it, especially if you get an Intimidate off. I think some Porygons might just be able to EV to survive, like, if you have almost max HP and defensive Esmond. So, yeah. Like, that's why I had Toxic specifically, and Arcanine has, helps out against other, like, bulkier Pokemon there as well. Not as much Gastrodon, since Gastrodon can hit it for super effective, but, yeah. Just gonna look for our next opponent of the day. Hopefully we find someone soon. Matchmaking sometimes can be a real pain. Okay, we're gonna find PK from Canada with a rating of 1609 for our next opponent for today's episode. Running a team of Kartana, Arcanine, Garchomp, Tapu Fini, Murkrow, and Nihilego. So, lots of scary stuff here. The Murkrow obviously sticks out the most because of its potential to quash and Tailwind. And that's something I'm actually really worried about. So, let's see what I want to lead with here. The Tailwind pressure, like, honestly really scares me. Without Murkrow, like, I'd feel a lot more comfortable. I mean, I could just lead Tapu Koko, which I probably want to do here. But the issue is, like, if my opponent goes Murkrow and Garchomp or even Kartana, I can just quash. And that's a concern. But maybe I'll go... Milotic here is actually kind of tempting because it pressures Garchomp and Kartana, unless that's Scarftana. Otherwise, I can just Hidden Power Fire and Ice Beam. And I think I might actually want Nihilego and Gigalith in the back here. Arcanine's like kind of solid for Intimidate, and it obviously can Flare Blitz the Kartana, but with the Tapu Fini, a Garchomp, and a Nihilego, I don't feel like it's like the right Pokemon to bring here at all. Kartana, it is a little bit tough leaving that on the bench because it hits everything for neutral or super effective. But it just seems too frail here, and I like going with Tapu Koko and Milotic because it puts on more offensive presence, and it should outspeed everything on my opponent's side. And then the Nihilego can potentially set up a Trick Room to end the game. Garchomp here is a concern though. Like, normally against Garchomp, I kind of try to nuke it, but with the potential Tailwind from the... Actually, I think maybe I should have let Nihilego just to pressure Tailwind immediately. Or, sorry, Trick Room immediately. Because now, if Murkrow does come out as lead, my opponent can just Tailwind immediately, and that's kind of bad for me. So, I don't know about this. We do see Murkrow and Kartana, okay. So, the first question I have is, what item does that Kartana have? Because what I could do here is... I actually think I don't want to Thunderbolt Murkrow. I'd rather just knock out Kartana if possible. Yeah, because I don't want to give my opponent a free switch in and allow Tailwind to go up. So I think turn 1 I'm actually going to Hidden Power Fire. Actually, there's no need to hit HP Fire. I can Dazzling Gleam here. And Hidden Power Fire Kartana. Okay, Kartana just attacks. That's fine. I will reveal that I'm... Yeah, and Murkrow just Tailwinds. Unless Dazzling Gleam knocks out Murkrow, which would be pretty bad for me, actually. So yeah, that was by far the safest play from my opponent's end. So now I wish I'd led like Tapu Koko and now Ego instead. Yeah, so Murkrow hangs on, which is actually good for me here. Okay, now my opponent knows I'm Scarfed. This is where if I had Arcanine, like, that'd be super helpful. Fortunately not the case, but oh well. This is actually still really tricky though. Like, so now the question is my opponent going to Leaf Blade into Milotic? I actually don't have to switch it into that at all. That's really bad, actually. You know I'm Scarfed too. I really wish I brought Arcanine out now. I think I will just Dazzling. Yeah, I feel like this lead specifically I should have countered a little bit better against. Like, I was hoping the Kartana would get aggressive there and just attack. But I'll just Dazzling Gleam again and HP Fire. Leaf Blade just does go into Milotic though, which sucks. Yeah, so if I had Arcanine there, like, it would have been the freest switch in, but obviously I don't. And to be honest, yeah, this is gonna snowball really quickly, I think. I should have led better against this specific matchup, and I was hoping maybe I could bait out an attack by leading Milotic turn 1, or immediately, because I was like, oh, that's probably Sash Kartana, but maybe not. I mean, obviously, I can still pressure with Trick Room here with now Ego, so it's like not the end of the world. And I could actually maybe sweep with Trick Room. It really depends on what comes in from my opponent right now, though. And Garchomp, obviously, not really what I want to see. So the other question is that Z-move Chomp? Because if it is, you can just Z-move now Ego. If it's not, then, like, if the Garchomp doesn't have a Z-move, then I'm still in this, but I think it probably will. And because it probably will, I think I am rather screwed. But I suppose Tapu Koko could maybe get a double protect off. There are 2 turns of Tailwind left, yeah. Yeah, I think I'll just double protect this turn. And if the Z move comes out from Garchomp or Kartana, actually, like, one of these two definitely has to have the Z move. So maybe I could have switched now Ego out into the Gigalith and played for a double protect win condition on Tapu Koko. Like, if my opponent has a Z move, Kartana detects, so maybe it doesn't have the Z move then. Or maybe it does have the Z move and my opponent still want to just protect. But when you have Tailwind up in this position, you'd imagine you just want to attack. No, just Earthquakes. Okay. So I'm not out of it yet then. It's not going to be easy, but I'm not out of it. So the thing is now, like, Kartana probably survives an Earthquake from that Garchomp. So if you're my opponent, maybe what you do is just Earthquake and Leaf Blade now Ego. I don't want to rely on a double protect, but I know Life Orb, Dazzling Gleam won't one-shot the Garchomp. And that Garchomp could be Scarfed too. But maybe EQ does knock out Kartana. Now I really wish I Trick Room last turn. Bring in Gigalith, and I guess I'll Power Gem. Yeah, I think maybe I should have Trick Room. I mean, I couldn't have anticipated the Kartana protecting there, really, though. I guess it makes sense. I just really thought Garchomp would have the Z move, but I suppose my win condition was hoping that there was no Z move. We do just see a Smart Strike come out. Into now Ego. Does my opponent Earthquake himself? Yeah. Okay. So maybe I should have gone for the double there then, with now Ego. Yeah, it actually knocks out the Kartana as well. So at this point, my win con is probably getting a crit Dazzling Gleam on Garchomp. Or Garchomp being like minus special defense for some reason. I needed a, like, chip damage on that Garchomp basically. Although I guess it's not necessarily over. Like, my opponent could fear Wide Guard for me, and now I wish I had Wide Guard. Could also fear Hidden Power Ice potentially from Tapu Koko. So like maybe my opponent just protects Garchomp and Flare Blitzes into Tapu Koko. Yeah, because if you're my opponent, you just have to click the Earthquake button, but if there is Wide Guard, then you could actually lose as well. So I'm gonna, like, my opponent probably should win this. If I had Wide Guard, I would definitely, I think... Actually, I would probably make the same play here, even if I did have Wide Guard. So I'm hoping my opponent mind games him or herself a little bit here. We'll see if Garchomp protects. No, Arcanine just protects, okay. Yeah, because then, like, what I could have done was Wide Guard and Dazzling Gleam. But Garchomp just EQs here, so I will end up losing. I could have gone for the Specs crit, but if you're my opponent and you do fear Wide Guard, what you could do is... I guess I'm just really surprised that neither Garchomp nor Cortana had a Z move, or that it didn't go for it, because on that kind of team composition it would make so much sense. But I think what I should have done was basically lead Tapu Koko and Nihilego, because that doesn't look like Trick Room at all, and then Trick Room in front of my opponent's Tailwind, and that probably would have just won me the game, honestly. But instead, now, yeah, I'm just going to end up losing. Unless my opponent protects Arcanine for some reason, I get a crit Dazzling Gleam on Arcanine, or on Garchomp, and then a crit Thunderbolt on Arcanine as well. So I guess the odds aren't necessarily completely out of there, but it's rather slim. Yeah, Wide Guard's a move Garchomp actually protected. That's such a... I could have Thunderbolted Arcanine. I mean, I still would have needed a crit, I guess. But then I only would have needed one crit. Huh. That seems super risky to me. But I guess, like, you know, my win condition's a crit anyway. But yeah, if I crit that Thunderbolt onto Arcanine, like, maybe I should have just gone for it. And like, yeah, if Arcanine was offensive as well. Like, if you're my opponent, I think you should just, I guess my opponent didn't want to Earthquake himself. But Dazzling Gleam won't knock you out anyway. Because even with Modest and Life Orb, Garchomp still survives that. Like, it can almost knock it out. Maybe it would have been a roll, though, so... Yeah, I definitely could have played the end game a little bit better. I mean, it was basically a bunch of guessing games. I could have, like, protected Gigalith and Dazzling Gleam, although that would have lost. I mean, like, my win condition was probably a crit somewhere. They were hoping, like, Garchomp was not specially defensive. So I actually, didn't know in the end how much Dazzling Gleam does to that Garchomp specifically. So, yeah, kind of a frustrating game there because I had Trick Room. Like, Tailwind's pretty bad to go up against with this team, and I do have answers against Garchomp, but I need to have, like, some of them out at the same time. Basically, like, Gigalith was absolutely worthless here. If I had my own Arcanine, I actually think I win that one just with Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam, and I can Toxic against my opponent's Arcanine as well. And if I had Cortana in the end game, that would have been better too. But I went with Gigalith specifically for the Trick Room option, and then I didn't end up setting up Trick Room. So, like, basically, I didn't have a defined game plan, and I ended up losing because of that. So, no, ultimately, I can't be too sad about that. I mean, like, there's a lot to take away from there. I ultimately just didn't play too well in terms of countering the Tailwind on my opponent's end, and then bringing a Pokemon that would have been really good under Tailwind, but just functioned really poorly outside of it. So, if I could have redone that, like, maybe I would have just brought it yeah, I think I would have just led Nihilego. I 100% should have led Nihilego and Tapu Koko there just to pressure Trick Room immediately. And then have Gigalith in the back. And then I think with that combination, and maybe Arcanine is the last one. Tapu Koko is the last one. No, sorry, I would go Nihilego, Tapu Koko with Gigalith, and... Who did I bring in that one again? Nihilego, Tapu Koko, Gigalith, and... I'm really blanking out. I didn't bring Milotic. No, I did bring Milotic, yeah, as a lead. So I wouldn't bring Milotic. I'd probably actually go for the Trick Room option and have Arcanine in the back instead. Yeah, that makes more sense. Or even Cortana. Like, Cortana's pretty solid in that matchup, too. Because it can Swords Dance, maybe. Z move as well, obviously. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. We do split it 1-1. That second game, not very well played on my end, but a lot to learn from, and now I should have a better game plan against Tailwind teams, specifically going into the future. Try to get a little bit cheeky with the Scarf Milotic, trying to pick up a knockout on that first turn. Didn't really work out too much in my favor, and then I realized I had no switch-ins for the Leaf Blade, which was kind of a concern. So, yep, lesson learned, but still a fun episode, and Murkrow is always really cool to see. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, please leave a like if you did, and I'll catch you guys next time. Alright, peace.